What are the laws that govern the bringing in of certain levels of skills into South Africa versus the idea that there are certain skills that are unused or unemployed in South Africa? Help us understand that in broad terms, please, Marisa.
Mm. So, broadly, anyone who is not a South African citizen or permanent resident in South Africa, and anywhere in the world, in fact, needs to have specific authorization to conduct work in that country. So in South Africa, you would need to have a work permit. And there's very limited categories of work permits. And in order to apply in a certain work permit category, you would need to qualify in that category. So in South Africa, you would either be working for a multinational and coming in on an intra-company transfer visa, which means that you are being seconded to South Africa for a limited period and tied to you transferring some skills to a South African. You've got a unique skill and you'll be training and upskilling someone. Or you are an individual who has a critical skill. So you work in one of the occupations that are listed on the critical skills list. There's currently 101 occupations on that list, excluding the medical profession. So you have to have one of those skills, and that needs to be proven by your qualifications through an NQF level, as well as professional body membership and experience, your CV and reference letters. Then you can get a critical skills visa. And then lastly, if you don't fit into one of those two categories, you'd need to apply for general work visa, which means your employer first needs to test the local labour market and prove to the Department of Home Affairs that they were unable to find a local person to fill that position. So the threshold is very high for employers to be able to bring foreign talent into the country and secure a work visa to allow them to
What does
work
that
in
mean?
South Africa.
Explain that to me very quickly, Marisa, that the threshold is very high.
So like I've explained now, that there's only those three categories.
Right.
The fourth category would be if you're married to a South African, then you can get work authorization. But otherwise, you have to fit into one of those. You either have to work for a multinational, you have to have an occupation on the critical skills list and meet those minimum criteria of education level, experience, professional body membership, or you have to have tested the labour market and proven to Home Affairs that you've tested it and been unable to find a resource. And only then will the Department of Home Affairs issue an individual with a work visa and allow them to take up employment in South Africa. So that's a long process. As you can imagine, what I've just discussed there, for some of those categories, it's a 6-month process that an employer and that international talent needs to go through in order to secure that work visa. So it's by no means an easy process. It's by no means any employer who can find a South African to fill that position would absolutely jump at that opportunity first, because it's so difficult to get a work visa in South Africa. And like many other countries abroad, we know we're certainly not unique. But the threshold is high.